E boa noite a todos! Chegamos à 10ª edição do Your Voice, o concurso cultural de discursos da cultura inglesa. Eu sou o João Aveiro, representando o time acadêmico-cultural, e é um enorme prazer apresentar essa etapa tão importante da competição. Criado em 2014, o Your Voice chega à sua 10ª edição hoje, com o objetivo de valorizar a comunicação oral, ajudando os estudantes da cultura inglesa a expressarem suas ideias com confiança e a se prepararem melhor para falar em público. É uma oportunidade incrível de pesquisa, troca cultural e crescimento, incentivando cada participante a se tornar um agente de transformação por meio do compartilhamento de suas ideias. E nesta edição recebemos mais de 900 inscritos, 900 estudantes que aceitaram o desafio de se superar, escrevendo um discurso autoral em inglês sobre um tema complexo. Todos os discursos precisam abordar o tema Echoes of Change, Confronting Climate Crisis, que em português seria algo como Ecos da Mudança, Enfrentando a Crise Climática. Na primeira fase do concurso, os participantes gravaram e enviaram os discursos em vídeo, os quais foram avaliados por um júri com a difícil missão de selecionar apenas 128 para as semifinais. Ou seja, todos que chegaram até aqui já são grandes vencedores e, sem dúvida, evoluíram muito ao longo do processo de toda a competição. Vocês verão aqui, hoje, alunos da cultura inglesa e das escolas parceiras da cultura inglesa, dos estados de São Paulo, Santa Catarina, Bahia, Rio de Janeiro, Rio Grande do Sul, Distrito Federal, Tocantins e Espírito Santo, de nível inglês básico, intermediário e avançado. No Your Voice, os alunos são divididos em 8 categorias diferentes, de acordo com o nível de inglês de cada um. Cada candidato concorre, portanto, somente com aqueles que estão inscritos na mesma categoria. Nesta sessão de agora, se apresentarão primeiro os candidatos da categoria 5 e, posteriormente, os candidatos da categoria 6. A apresentação das duas categorias acontecerá na sequência, e o resultado das duas categorias será anunciado de uma só vez ao término da sessão de hoje. As regras de duração e número de perguntas que cada um responde após discursar mudam um pouco de uma categoria para outra. Então, daqui a pouco eu vou repassar essas regras com vocês, ok? Bom, então, o evento de hoje é uma das 8 datas de semifinal do concurso. O concurso possui semifinal A e semifinal B, sendo que a semifinal A acontecerá de segunda a quinta desta semana, e a semifinal B acontecerá de segunda a quinta da semana que vem, também no mesmo horário. De cada dia de evento, serão selecionados 3 participantes de cada categoria para a grande final, que vai ser realizada no dia 23 de novembro, que é um sábado do próximo mês, também na modalidade remota. Ou seja, após o término das apresentações de hoje, serão selecionados 3 participantes de cada categoria. Então, 3 participantes da categoria 5 e mais 3 da categoria 6, que já estarão com vagas garantidas na grande final do dia 23. E quem decidirá quais participantes seguirão na competição hoje são as juradas Paula Botelho, que é a nossa coordenadora acadêmica aqui da cultura inglesa, e a Luísa Brandão, especialista acadêmica também da cultura inglesa. Elas já estão conosco aqui no backstage e estão se preparando para entrar. Elas avaliarão todos os discursos apresentados e, após as apresentações, se reunirão para chegar ao grande veredito. Então, após o término das apresentações, elas se juntarão para, enfim, decidir quem são os grandes finalistas da noite. Bom, ao término do evento, após anunciar os 3 finalistas de cada categoria, nossas juradas também se encontrarão rapidamente com eles aqui na sala virtual para dar uma rápida devolutiva a cada participante, apontando alguns pontos que podem ser aprimorados para a fase seguinte. Importante, pedimos então que, ao término do evento, os participantes cujos nomes forem anunciados como finalistas retornem para a sala do Google Meet, onde nos encontramos antes do evento começar, tá? Quem não quiser ou não puder ficar, tudo bem, não tem problema. Essa devolutiva, ela só será feita hoje. Então, quem não puder participar, vai acabar perdendo a oportunidade, ok? Bom, então vamos repassar algumas informações e algumas das principais regras para que vocês estejam alinhados e todo mundo preparado para acompanhar os discursos de hoje. Primeira coisa, João, tem alguma dúvida ali sobre o Your Voice? Onde que eu posso encontrar essas informações? No site do Your Voice. Então, no nosso site oficial, vocês encontrarão todas as informações sobre o evento. Lá a gente tem a FAQ, todos os links de acesso, a lista de candidatos, todas as informações estão concentradas lá. Inclusive, tem um e-mail também para que vocês possam encaminhar dúvidas diretamente até nós. Então, todas as informações sempre estarão no site do Your Voice. Bom, nós da organização do evento, os candidatos e candidatas estarão juntos dentro de uma plataforma virtual e o evento está sendo transmitido para vocês que estão nos assistindo aí no YouTube. Então, interajam conosco, façam a sua torcida através do chat, que fica aí na direita da tela de vocês, e nós conseguiremos ver a sua torcida daqui de dentro. Quero fazer também um pedido de mantermos o chat como local de torcida e celebração, apenas com mensagens positivas e de apoio, sem mensagens ofensivas, porque isso não combina nem um pouco com o Your Voice, ok? Bom, enquanto nós estávamos com os participantes aqui no backstage, nós realizamos um sorteio na frente deles para definir a ordem de apresentação de cada categoria. Estamos colocando essa ordem no chat agora, neste momento, para que todos vocês possam acompanhar a sequência das apresentações de hoje. Se a conexão de algum participante falhar ou cair durante a sua apresentação, seguiremos com as próximas apresentações. No entanto, enquanto o bloco de apresentações estiver em andamento, daremos novas oportunidades para que o participante restabeleça a conexão e se apresente novamente. A duração estipulada para os discursos da categoria 5 e 6 é de 2 minutos para cada candidato. Mas há uma margem de tolerância também, então os candidatos dessas categorias precisam apresentar um discurso que dure entre 1 minuto e 30 segundos e 2 minutos e 30 segundos. Temos aqui uma timekeeper, que é a Vanessa, que controlará a duração de cada apresentação e fará soar um sinal como este para alertar o candidato sobre a duração de seu discurso. O sinal será tocado, primeiramente, quando o candidato atingir 1 minuto e 30, depois, novamente, quando atingir 2 minutos, e uma última vez, caso o candidato atinja 2 minutos e 30 de discurso. O candidato que terminar o seu discurso antes de 1 minuto e 30 ou depois de 2 minutos e 30 poderá ser penalizado. Após o término da apresentação, os candidatos respondem a perguntas e cada categoria possui uma regra específica quanto a isso. No caso das categorias 5 e 6, que serão as de hoje, os candidatos responderão a 2 perguntas que serão feitas pelas nossas juradas. Bom, começaremos agora, então, com as apresentações da categoria 5, e na sequência teremos as apresentações da categoria 6. Bom, falei bastante, mas já passei todas as informações que a gente precisa nessa noite, então já podemos começar. Mas antes, gostaria de agradecer a audiência de todos vocês, das famílias, dos amigos que estão aqui, dos nossos candidatos. Contamos com o apoio de vocês no chat, eles contam também nesse momento tão importante. Muito obrigado a todos, bom evento, boa sorte a todos os candidatos e que a gente tenha mais uma noite bela de Your Voice. E seguindo a ordem de apresentação, eu chamo ao palco a nossa primeira candidata da noite, da categoria 5. Então, gostaria de chamar Gabriela Silva Germani. Gabriela, está por aqui? Bom, a Gabriela ainda não chegou aqui na nossa plataforma virtual, então vamos seguir com a sequência de apresentações e, posteriormente, daremos uma nova oportunidade para que ela possa se apresentar, ok? Então, seguindo a nossa sequência, a nossa segunda candidata da noite, segundo o sorteio, é Daphne Gonçalves de Amorim Loyola. Daphne, já está por aí?
Sim.
Oi, Daphne, está me ouvindo?
Sim.
A sua câmera tá... Agora sim, agora estou vendo você também, estou te ouvindo. Daphne, respira fundo. Vamos lá, que agora é com você. Boa sorte.
Hi, everybody. My name is Daphne, and my text is about the climate crisis on our planet and how we can improve it. So, we often hear that the planet is getting worse day by day and that the climate crisis is growing. So, as people living on and exploring this planet, we should do more than just talk about it. We should start acting. such as recycling, not throwing trash on the street, and using the water and energy that we already have in a better way. By doing these small things, we can start to improve the environment and also start to treat our planet better. By doing this small, it is also important to learn and teach others about how our actions impact the planet. For example, recycling, using fewer plastic products, and supporting eco-friendly plastics reduces waste, pollution, and harmful gases on the atmosphere. By doing this, understanding how our actions matter can help us make better choices. For me, taking actions on the climate crisis of our planet is very important, even if each action seems small, because together, all the small actions together make a big difference on the environment. And that's it.
Muito obrigado, Daphne, pelo seu discurso. E agora eu gostaria de chamar a jurada Paula, que fará a primeira pergunta.
Obrigada, João. Daphne, thank you very much for your speech. My question for you is the following. So you mentioned that we can do small things to solve this problem of climate crisis, right? So as to confront climate crisis. My question is there anything that you, your friends or family, that you already do?
Yes, my family has the habit of recycling, especially school materials that we don't use anymore. For example, text, a lot of paper every year, and books that we don't use anymore. We usually recycle these things, and I think that's important to do. And my family has this habit of doing this recycling usually, and also using the energy and water very carefully, as I said.
Thank you, Daphne.
Hi, Daphne. Thank you for your speech. My question for you is, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So my question for you is, dear, you mentioned that we should learn and teach about climate crisis. Yes. But where do you think we can find good, reliable information about climate crisis?
Um, Today we have a lot of fonts of information in the internet. So there's a lot of kind of journals in the internet that you can like subscribe, and then every day they come with a notification. Also, always be checking on the climb for the day and everything, and also be seeing this news in comfort in important journals, for that we already see like on TV and everything. So I think we can find this information on this kind of journals and everything.
All right, thank you.
Muito obrigado, Daphne, pelo seu discurso. Obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas. E dando sequência às nossas apresentações da noite, gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice Gabriele Rodrigues Alves. Olá, Gabriele, está ouvindo?
Oi, eu tô ouvindo. Você consegue me ouvir?
Sim, consigo te ouvir também. Então vamos lá, Gabriele. Respira fundo, se prepara e o palco do Your Voice é seu. Boa sorte.
Obrigada. Hello everyone, I'm Gabriele Conceição Rodrigues Alves and I study at Instituto Educacional Estilo, Campinas, São Paulo. And today I'm here talking about the climate change. So, we all know that the climate crisis is a reality that demands our attention and immediate action. To prevent the climate change effects from worsening in the future, education about this topic is essential. We need to empower younger generations with the knowledge. They need to understand the impact of this change on their societies. Including this topic in the school curriculum is an urgent issue. Practical projects such as classroom experiments and field trips allow students to learn more about the effects of climate change, which can form conscious people in the future. Furthermore, the impact of the media is fundamental in the discussion about the climate crisis. Documentaries such as Uncovered Truth and well-crafted reports have raised awareness of the seriousness of the situation. However, we face the challenge of misinformation. Social media can be a powerful tool for informing and mobilizing people, but it also can spread misinformation. So it's really important to critically analyze the news we consume. Scientific data confirms that global temperatures are rising, extreme weather events are becoming more frequent, and glaciers are melting. However, there are still groups that deny this reality, often influenced by economic interests or personal ideologies. To break this, campaigns showing the shocking impacts of the climate crisis can be very effective. The cause and consequence of climate change affects not only the environment, but also the economy and public health. Scarcity of water reserves, rising sea levels, and increasing the world hunger and loss of biodiversity are just some of the consequences that will beginning start to happen in the world. Finally, it's really important to focus on solutions. Investing in renewable energy, demanding change from the government and business owners, demanding stricter laws, and seeking technological innovations to reduce pollution are some fundamental steps to try to reduce the impacts of the climate crisis. And together, we are able to create actions that in the future can extend across the planet and guarantee a better future for our planet. Thank you.
Obrigado, Gabriele, pelo discurso. Agora vamos às perguntas das juradas, começando pela Luísa e depois com a jurada Paula. Luísa?
Hello, Gabriele. Thank you for your
Hello.
speech. Hello. You mentioned that it's important to talk about climate crisis at schools. Do
Yes.
you, do you guys at your school talk about climate crisis?
Sometimes we talk about climate crisis in our biology class or even the English class, but not much. I think it's better to improve um, this type of conversation.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Gabriele. Thank you very much
Hello.
for your speech. I'm also going to talk about formal education because this is something that you mentioned. Do you have any ideas um, to give us so as to how can we implement this topic in the school curriculum?
Well, we can create some activities like movies that talk about, or even put some documentaries like National Geographic, or try to make students make research about what happened and try to make them find ways to make this change, um, to make this change not affect the environment.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Muito obrigado, Gabriele, pelo seu discurso. Muito obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas. Então, eu acho que já deu para vocês entenderem como que é a dinâmica aqui, né? Então, sempre as apresentações e as juradas fazem as perguntas logo em seguida, tá? Então, estamos chegando aqui na metade dos nossos candidatos aqui da categoria 5. E agora eu gostaria de chamar a nossa próxima candidata, que é a nossa quarta do sorteio. Então, por favor, venha ao palco do Your Voice, Ana Luísa Gabriel Lima.
Vocês podem
Oi,
me ouvir tranquilamente?
sim, estou te ouvindo. Está me ouvindo bem?
Sim.
Então, ok, Ana, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa
Okay. Time for inaction is over. Gone are the days when we would think about climate change as such a distant threat. The first major international scientific gathering to discuss human-induced climate change happened in 1979. That was half a century ago. So we know for a fact that this is a long-standing issue. And taking into account the amount of information we now have access to regarding this topic, I want to ask you a question. If the climate is changing, why isn't the system? Hello, I'm Ana Luisa, and today I want to walk you through what I think are the most fundamental aspects that we should take into consideration before entering the journey to confront climate change. I strongly believe our generation and our society in general is lacking a very important step to be able to fully grasp the reality and depth of the situation we live in. It's accountability. In the age of productivity, in the age where we all want to make the most of the time we have, we all are very um, we are all able to understand the concept of small habits making posing great risks to our overall health. And I think we should take that same type of thinking and apply it to these discussions about the climate. And it's time that we apply it to this discussions. In order to step out of this collective comfort zone, we must take into consideration our actions and the impacts they cause in our world. And as I previously said, inaction isn't an option. So speaking time and time again on this topic, and then turning our backs to it when we need to face the consequences of those actions we take, isn't an option. I know it may seem daunting and scary to be the first ones in our circle to step up and take action, but I can guarantee you that it is worth it. In the future, we will look back at it and see that we made the best decisions we could to secure a better future, not only for us, but for the many generations that came after us. The echoes of change shouldn't be of the world around us screeching for help, but instead of a call to action, action we must take when face to face with such a tangible issue. That's my speech. Thank you.
Muito obrigado, Ana Luísa, pelo seu discurso. Agora vamos às perguntas das juradas, começando pela jurada Paula.
Thank you, João. Ana Luisa, thank you very much for your speech. And my question is, you mentioned the importance of talking again and again about this topic, which is urgent and really, really important. Is there anything we can do so as to engage more people so that they take action? Oh, I cannot hear you. Cannot hear you.
Sorry. I think it's really important to insert the topic of climate change in different environments. So the school, the work environment, even like as a society, as a community with the people we live in and the people we live near. So I think we need to insert this topic in more discussions and invest more in different solutions so that we can bring awareness to this topic.
Thank you.
Perfeito. Muito obrigado, Ana. Obrigado, Paula. Agora vamos à segunda pergunta da Luísa.
Hello, Ana Luisa. Good evening. Thank you for your speech. You mentioned, and I agree, that yes, so far the future looks very daunting. Is it difficult for you personally to be hopeful about the future?
I try to hold a very optimistic vision on our future as far as I can. And I'm very young, so I don't have knowledge of different things and I don't have knowledge of exactly what is going to happen in the future. But I try to maintain a hopeful and optimistic vision about it. And I think especially in the environmentalist sphere, I think we can be very hopeful. I take into account a very important quote from a very famous astrophysicist, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says that if we can make another planet, Earth, we can make Earth again. So we can like bring Earth to its original form and like bring back the world that we know is the original form of the planet Earth. So I think right now we're not looking at a very optimistic future, but I think if we as a society are brought together to discuss more about the topic and to just bring awareness and take action, because it's not all to bring awareness, we need to take action again and take accountability of this on this topic. I think that we can sure make a difference. I don't think that is 100% guaranteed, especially because there are people who deny climate change. But I think so far I'm holding a very optimistic vision about the future of the environment.
Wise words. Thank you so much.
Muito obrigado, Ana Luísa, pelas respostas. Obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas também, né? Hoje vocês estão vendo aqui competição de altíssimo nível, né? E agora eu quero ver a torcida. Cadê a torcida de vocês aqui? Deixa eu acompanhar no chat quem está aqui com a gente. Opa, temos torcida de Mogi. Alô, Mogi das Cruzes. Um abraço para Mogi das Cruzes. Francisco aqui, Let's Go Mariana. Torcida da Daphne, Gabriele aqui também. Mandem aqui no chat para quem que você está torcendo nessa noite aqui. Quero ver toda essa torcida aqui engajada com a gente. E agora vamos à nossa próxima participante da noite, né? Então, chamando aqui a nossa quinta participante da categoria 5, gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice Natália Regina Quaresma Laurini. Natália, está por aí?
Oi.
Oi, Natália, tudo bem? Está ouvindo?
Sim.
Consigo te ouvir também. Então, Natália, respira. Quando estiver pronta, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa sorte.
Obrigada. Hey everyone, my name is Natalia. I'm 14 years old, and today I want to talk about a super important subject, the climate crisis. So basically, it's all about how our planet is changing because of things we do, like burning fossil fuels, cutting down trees, and polluting the air. These actions pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which leads to crazy weather patterns and global warming. We're seeing more floods, heat waves, and wildfires than ever before, and it's affecting our health and our future. So, how does this happen? Actually, it's pretty simple. Our cars, factories, and even farming practices are big contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. When we burn fossil fuels for energy or clear forests for agriculture, we're making the problem even worse. This isn't just a problem for the future. This is happening right now, all around us. But there's also good news. There are a lot of things we can do to help. First of all, let's try using public transport, biking or walking instead of driving everywhere. It's better for the planet and good for our health too. On top of that, reducing waste by recycling or choosing eco-friendly products makes a difference. And finally, let's all speak up for policies that protect our environment. By making these small changes, we can deal with the climate crisis and create a better world for ourselves and future generations. Thank you so much.
Voltamos aqui. Aparentemente, a Natália teve algum problema com a conexão, mas vamos dando sequência aqui agora com as perguntas das nossas juradas. Natália, você está me ouvindo? Bom, a Natália teve um problema de conexão, então vamos fazer o seguinte: vamos seguir com as próximas apresentações enquanto a Natália retoma a conexão, aí a gente volta com as perguntas delas, mas vamos continuar com a nossa sequência da noite. Então, com a próxima sequência do nosso sorteio, gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice Catarina França dos Santos. Catarina, está por aí?
Tô. Tudo bem?
Tá. Tudo bem, estou ouvindo você também. Então, Catarina, o palco do Your Voice é seu, fique à vontade. Quando estiver pronta, pode começar o discurso.
Tá bom. Hi, I'm Katarina, and I would like to ask you a question. Do you know how climate change is changing the world? So, let's start with the concept. Climate change is basically the long-term transformation of weather and temperature patterns. In the past, the changes are natural, but since the 18th century, human actions have been the main cause of climate change. From an early age, we were taught at school to recycle, plant trees, save energy, use less water and plastic, use clean energy. But what we didn't know is that all these actions are solutions to climate change, which is caused, for example, by the pollution emitted by factories and vehicles. Having this kind of education from an early age means that we grow up to be more aware citizens with sustainable habits. Learning about the environment is fundamental for everyone, from kindergarten to university. The subject of climate change must go beyond school boundaries and spread around the world through media, such as social networks, TV shows, music, and movies. But we have to be very vigilant with all the information, as the spread of fake news is very common. Despite everything that we are experiencing with these changes in the environment, there are still people who say that the changes are not caused by human actions, the so called climate deniers. For them, the sorry. And carbon dioxide doesn't cause the greenhouse effect. But I disagree with them, as there are many scientific arguments that prove that humans are responsible for climate change. This talk shows us that education goes far beyond school subjects, but also encompasses attitudes towards the environment in which we live. We need to take care of the environment now, because if we don't change our attitudes, the consequence will be much worse in a few years' time. Thank you.
Obrigado, Catarina, pelo seu discurso. Você travou, mas voltou.
Então, caiu sem querer, aí eu fiquei com medo de não dar certo, mas deu certo.
Não, travou, voltou, deu tudo certo, tá, Catarina? Agora vou chamar. Perdão, desculpa?
Deu pra ouvir tudo que eu falei?
Deu para ouvir,
Não,
deu para
obrigada.
ouvir. Tranquilo. E agora eu gostaria de chamar a primeira jurada para fazer a pergunta. Por favor, Paula.
Thank you, João. Catarina, thank you very much for your speech. You mentioned the importance of learning about this topic. My question for you is, where do you usually get information about this topic from?
Usually, I get the information of this topic at school, in biology classes, geography classes, English classes, like in cultura inglesas books. They have a lot of things about this topic, and I usually see this problem at school, at watching tipo at my house, watching TV, searching on the internet, and actually I listen about this problem on songs too, like one song that I like, um called Rhinestone Eyes from by Gorillas, and emotional impacts of the industrialization. So I usually get this information from a lot of ways, like TV, school, songs, and films, and whatever.
Thank you, Catarina.
I'm nervous.
Hello, Katarina. Good evening. Thank you for your speech. You mentioned climate deniers. Do you have a message for climate deniers?
I think they need to study. They need to take care of the information that they read on the internet, and really study about the problem of the climate crisis, and they have to talk to people that knows more about this topic, and they need to see the world that they are living, because it's not possible that sons go more active. It's like no sense. It just has no sense. So they need to study. I just think that they need to study.
They need to study. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Obrigado, Catarina, pelo discurso. Obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas também. Vi que o chat já está bombando aí com as torcidas, então continua interagindo com a gente, mandando as energias positivas aqui para as nossas candidatos e candidatas da noite. E antes de seguirmos com as apresentações, eu gostaria de retomar aqui a etapa das perguntas com a Natália, que ela já conseguiu restabelecer a conexão. Natália, está me ouvindo bem agora? Está me ouvindo? Sim? Eu só não estou te ouvindo. Tente falar alguma coisa novamente. Agora sim, estou te ouvindo. Então, eu gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice agora a nossa jurada Luísa, que fará a primeira pergunta para você.
Hello, Natalia. Good evening. Thank you for your speech. In your speech, you mentioned eco-friendly products. Do you use any eco-friendly products yourself?
Yes, when I go to the supermarket, I usually bring that eco-friendly bag that is not made of plastic. It's made of another kind of material that is eco-friendly, so it doesn't pollute.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Natalia. Well, even though this topic is very serious, you mentioned a good aspect. So my question is, so even though there are bad, you said there are also good aspects. In this sense, is your perspective on it more optimistic or pessimistic?
I I usually try to keep optimistic view, but in general, I'm really pessimistic. But it's a subject that worries me because it's the world that I will be living in some years. So it's always important to keep optimistic. I I think.
Thank you.
Obrigado, juradas. Obrigado, Natália, também pelas respostas. E, dando sequência, vamos ao discurso de Júlia Barrichello. Júlia, está por aí? Está me ouvindo?
Estou aqui.
Estou te ouvindo bem. Júlia, o palco vai ser seu. Boa sorte.
Hello, welcome to my speech. I'm Julia Barrichello from Monsignor School, and today I will show you my point of view about the topic, Issues of Changing, Confronting Climate Crisis. First, I would like to start saying why we should take care of the environment. If we didn't take care of the environment, our resources, were they renewable or not, would run out, what can be pretty dangerous for our health. In addition, at the moment, it is said that until 2050, Brazil will be not able to abrigate people in case of heat wave. And now I would like to give you some advices and suggestions of how avoid climate crisis and help the environment. The first one is share information. All alone, you can change the world, but sharing with your friends and family, it will be more easily to help the environment. Second, don't waste food. With all the waste, it will be possible to feed a whole needed population. So learn how to eat just what is enough and help with the waste. The third topic is adapt your diet. Try to eat more meals made of vegetables. People eat more food of animal origin than it's healthier. And pests take a percent of 60% of crops, what is pretty dangerous also. And try to eat more vegetables. It can help in chronic conditions like cancer, heart diseases, and among. That was my speech. Thank you for listening to me.
Muito obrigado, Júlia, pelo seu discurso. Agora vamos às perguntas das juradas, começando pela jurada Luísa.
Hello, Julia. In your speech, you mentioned the importance of eating healthy, right? Eating a lot of meat can impact climate crisis.
You know, it can avoid with the pests that take a lot of space in your world, right? And it, in a way, not a better way, you can avoid, right? So if we try to eat vegetables, we can get space, and you know, meat also can be pretty dangerous for our health if we consume a lot of it. So that.
Thank you so much, Julia.
Hello, Julia. Thank you for your speech. So you mentioned an array of aspects related to this issue, because, okay, the issue discussing here, climate change, the climate crisis. My question is, I don't know where you're from, but have you ever felt the impact of climate crisis?
Yes, we can see a lot of places burning, right? I think it's related to the climate crisis, right? And that was the impacts that I felt. Yes, I think that I felt this type of thing, pollution in the streets. We can see a lot of this. Uh, the water that comes to me, it's a little bit polluted, right? And that is the type of thing I can see in my daily.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
Muito obrigado, Júlia. Obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas. Vamos, então, ao nosso próximo candidato. Gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice, Vinícius Varela.
Oi.
Alô, Vinícius, está me ouvindo?
Sim.
Estou te ouvindo também. Então, Vinícius, respira fundo. E vamos lá, o palco do Your Voice é seu. Bom discurso e boa sorte.
Hello and good evening. My name is Vinicius, and today I'll talk about climate change. Greenhouse gases are a problem because they contribute to climate change, which can cause rising temperatures, sea levels, and other environmental issues. The day before yesterday, very heavy rain hit Spain with tragic consequences. Humanity already starts to feel the results of our decisions. Many factors are implied in climate change. Our society is nowadays based on fossil fuels for electricity, construction, heating, transport industry, and others. Electricity alone makes 29% of the graphic of total emissions, so we'll talk about that today. Petroleum is involved in the previous category because we use it in all that we do, including things that wouldn't pollute like electric cars, but the main source of energy for charging them is still fossil fuels, not clean sources. So we could use cheaper and cleaner energy like solar or wind. Other options are nuclear energy, like nuclear fission or fusion. Today, nuclear energy makes nuclear residues, but as an example, Bill Gates is now using sodium to heat the nuclear fission, what, what results in almost zero pollution and making it much cheaper. Even a better option is nuclear fusion, but today is the most expensive energy source of all, still being developed and perfected. So, in my opinion, even fossil fuels being cheaper now doesn't mean we should continue to use it. Governments should invest better money in science for cleaner and more efficient sources of energy, thinking about what's the best for the planet and all mankind. There's so many more paths to choose, so let's move on and take the safest one for the planet. Thank you.
Obrigado, Vinícius, pelo discurso. Vamos então agora às perguntas, começando com a jurada Paula.
Hello, Vinicius. Thank you for your
Hi.
speech. Hello. You mentioned a lot of things that lead us to this climate crisis we are facing right now. Yeah. In
Yes.
your opinion, which of these things is the worst one?
Well, I think like there's so many categories in this graphic of total emissions that should be considered. But like the material that I think that most causes the climate crisis is or concrete or fossil fuels. Because fossil fuels like make the energy for our society today, and concrete is used in almost everything you like. In the place you are, there's concrete. In the buildings, there's concrete. In roads, there's concrete. Every place is concrete. So, like these two things is one of the key factors to climate change.
Thank you, Vinicius.
Hello, Vinicius. Good evening.
Hello.
You mentioned the tragic floods that happened in Spain at the beginning of the week. Do you think
Yes.
there's any do you think there's anything that we can do to help people who are being affected by climate crisis in
The
situations such
people
as that?
that Yes, the people that are already affected by climate crisis. We aren't. This topic is isn't so about preventing climate crisis. It's about like saving the people that are just calling like getting the symptoms of all these things that humanity did. So like get the example of Rio Grande do Sul.
Mhm.
Now Rio Grande do Sul, it's like remaining and getting better, and now you can live there, and the airport is now functioning. So the people, everything, everyone that is in Spain needs to volunteer itself to like clean the place and save the people, mainly save the people, because like there's consequences to these acts. And if like get the example of those Olympic athletes
athletes that stayed in Rio Grande do Sul to help the people. They like sacrifice their Olympic dream to save other people. So you need to save the others and get your things back because you need to save thousands of people that are almost dying there. That's what you need. You need to have this spirit of helping others to save them.
Which is a great spirit. Thank you so much, Vinicius.
Obrigado, Vinícius, pelo discurso. Obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas. E agora vamos à última candidata aqui da categoria 5. Gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice Gabriela Silva Germani. Bom, a Gabriela, ela ainda não entrou aqui, então vamos seguir com as demais apresentações da noite. Bom, então finalizamos aqui a categoria 5, todos os discursos da categoria 5. Gostaria de parabenizar a todos os candidatos que participaram, fizeram seus discursos, né? Não é nada fácil participar de uma competição como essa, falar em público, ainda mais em inglês, então parabéns a todos por terem chegado até aqui. E, bom, agora daremos início à categoria 6. E somente ao término das apresentações da categoria 6 que o nosso júri sairá para a deliberação, então retornará com o resultado das duas categorias de uma só vez, ok? Então, as regras de duração e número de perguntas da categoria 6 são exatamente as mesmas da categoria 5. Então, vamos lá? Seguindo a ordem do sorteio, eu chamo aqui o primeiro candidato da categoria 6, gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice, Robson dos Santos, França. Robson, está por aí?
Hello.
Hello, Robson. Está me ouvindo?
Sim.
Sim, estou te ouvindo bem também. Então, Robson, vamos lá. Respira fundo, se prepare e quando estiver pronto, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa sorte.
Hello, my name is Robson, and I would like to start this speech saying a phrase that a friend of mine said to me when we were in a climate crisis speech conference. The phrase is, we forgot to put a limit to the atmosphere, so now it is saturated. And when I heard it, we laughed a lot not because it's funny, because it's true. We forgot to try to protect something that is precious, our air. And now it is depleted with more than 30 billions of ton of the carbon dioxide per year. So yeah, that's really sad. Although we struggle with solutions for the climate crisis, structurally it can be seen like a simple problem because we know it exists. We see every day in the news the droughts, the wildfires, the sea rising. We also know what caused it. We know that the molecules on the atmosphere creates a seal that keeps the heat inside and keep increasing the temperature of Earth, and this causes these tragedies. And we also know how to solve it. We just need to take the molecules away. But each time we try to create real solutions for it, we notice they are pricey, they are resourceful, and it's not attractive for business. If the people in power do not feel attracted to it, so what could we do? The straightforward answer for this question would be that we can't. What we can do instead would be mitigate their consequences, would be try to stop this problem to increase instead of just solving it. What we could do about it, we could start changing our own behaviors, our demeanors, and our habits. Look at a bottle of plastic, this awesome technology that belongs for ages and just thrown away after the end of the day, and a lot of ugly foods that are just thrown away because of their appearances. We need to change ourselves to change the world. We are the demand. On this way, we could finally hear the echoes of change.
Perfeito, muito obrigado, Robson, pelo seu discurso. Agora vamos às perguntas das nossas juradas, começando com a Luísa.
Thank you, Robson, for your speech. You mentioned that we should start improving ourselves, improving our attitudes, right? What things, Hobson, do you think you personally need to improve to help the climate crisis?
First, I think I usually go out from home to home for school a lot of times. So, like, I used to buy bottles of water, bottles of things, and eat a lot of things that like comes with and seal with it. And like, if we just throw the trash in the right bin, we could just doing this simple thing save a lot of things because when we throw away these things and they don't go to the right place, they can't be reutilized. Uh, they can't be away from contamination there. So if we do just those simple things, I think if I do those simple things, I think I can prove myself.
Thank you, Hobson.
Hello, Robson. Thank you for your speech. You mentioned the news, right? How do you feel when you hear or read about natural disasters on the news?
Sincerely, I think I kind of feel really sad because like some months ago, I really appreciate the Amazon and like it is an amazing environment. Like some months ago, I heard and noticed that the Rio Negro, one of the rivers that fill the river Amazonia, it just went wet. It was just sad. It lost a lot of water and like I just felt sad.
All right. Thank you, Robson.
Obrigado, Robson, pelo discurso, obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas e dando sequência aqui às nossas apresentações da noite, gostaria de chamar a nossa segunda candidata da categoria 6. Por favor, venha ao palco do Your Voice, Mariana Soares Gama.
Oi, vocês estão conseguindo me ouvir direitinho?
Mariana, sim, estamos te ouvindo bem. Então, vamos lá, respira fundo, o palco do Your Voice é seu. Boa sorte.
Muito obrigada. Hi, my name is Mariana Soares Gama, and I have a passionate dream of a world where we can live without worrying about climate change. It's undeniable that we are facing a global climate emergency like never before. But if the temperatures have always changed, why is it so different now? Since the start of the Industrial Revolution, the Earth's temperature has risen faster than ever before. This effect is called global warming and is caused by greenhouse gas emissions from human activities such as agriculture, deforestation, or burning fossil fuels. And what will happen if we don't change those actions? The conditions on Earth will worsen. Scientific projections show that increased frequency and intensity of extreme climate related events like floods, wildfires, droughts, and etc. And by 2050, these events will be more and more frequent. We risk losing our world. Just like Thomas Hobbes said, man is a wolf to man, but animals are also deeply affected, losing homes, friends, and just imagine this happening to you. Can you imagine this happening to you? Losing everything you ever worked for? Well, but there is still hope. Climate change has reached a peak. Yet our planet's future remains in our hands. To solve this, communities must make smart and eco-friendly choices to tackle this issue. Solutions include switching from burning fossil fuels to renewable energy sources like solar, hydroelectric, or wind. A research by Technology, Entertainment and Design (TED) is exploring AI to predict weather using historical data and patterns. So even when the conditions are unfriendly, we can still use renewable energy. By reducing the need of fossil fuels, sustainable energy helps conserve natural resources, ensuring the ecosystem remains intact and biodiversity is preserved. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions Reducing greenhouse gas emissions from industry and transportation by investing in greener technology is crucial. Additionally, limiting deforestation and investing in more space efficient forms of agriculture, like vertical farming, are essential steps. These are big solutions, but there are also small actions we can take to help, like composting organic waste, donating items we no longer use, and buying things that last longer or can be reused. If we unite, we can make a difference. Do this not just for yourself, but also for future generations, your children, nephews, grandchildren, and even for your pets. And remember what Mahatma Gandhi used to say, and be the change you wish to see in the world. Thank you.
Muito obrigado, Mariana, pelo seu discurso. Vamos então às perguntas das nossas juradas, começando pela jurada Paula.
Thank you, João. Mariana, thank you very much for your speech. You mentioned an important topic, which is global warming. And although climate crisis is something evident, it's visible, it's here, you're facing it, there are some people who deny it, who deny global warming is there. Why do you think it happens?
I think that people who deny global warming and climate changes are people that don't live in this reality, or people that don't research enough about it. I think that these people, like another contestant say, should study more, should search for information, because nowadays we have a lot of information at our faces. We all have phones. We all have obviously a lot of people, but not all people, have access to the internet, so we all can research about this topic.
Thank you, Mariana.
Hello, Mariana. Thank you so much for your speech. You mentioned many ideas, many different solutions that can be implemented to try to mitigate climate crisis. In your opinion, according to your research, which do you think would be the easiest one to implement?
Well, thank you for your question. It's a great question, by the way. I think the easiest one to implement is recycling. We all can recycle. It's the easiest thing. In my school, for an example, we have separate bins for everything that we can recycle. So, in my city, we have a lot of green areas that recycle things. So that's the thing that is most important for the starters of these actions that we have to take, and also is one of the most easiest to implement everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigado, Mariana, pelo discurso. Agradeço também as juradas pelas perguntas. Vamos dando sequência às nossas apresentações, agora com o discurso de Bernardo Torres Paixão.
Opa,
Hello, Bernardo. Está
hello.
ouvindo?
Perfeitamente.
Estou ouvindo também você bem. Então, Bernardo, quando estiver pronto, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa sorte.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Bernardo, and today I'll be exploring the critical role of education in addressing climate change to the younger generation within the context of the internet and fake news. Okay, so so what started in the first industrial revolution has now become evident in the consequences of human activity on climate change, as we've seen in the rising of global temperatures, the rise of the sea level, and the widespread loss of biodiversity all around the Earth. One of the most important steps for us to prevent climate change is to educate our younger generation, who will soon be in charge of the major multinational companies and big tech firms. This challenge has actually become more tougher nowadays due to the growing exposure of children to social media, where they might get trapped in harmful online echo chambers that can spread misinformation about climate change. In those echo chambers, they can find people who are extremely convinced about the non-existence of global warming and climate change that will keep reaffirming their unscientific beliefs on the internet without any hesitation or regulation from the social medias, making it really, really, really dangerous. Okay, so I think to address this issue, the state needs to assure that the schools and universities are educating their students into the schools and universities are educating their students into not only about learning about climate change and its consequences, but also into developing their critical thinking skills. Doing it in a way that's not boring or meaningless for the students with the use of field trips, discussion classes, projects, and etc. But most importantly, making sure that the students can see the emergency of the situation so that they can stop this growing cycle of ignorance that will slowly lead us to a global collapse in not a much in a sooner future, I would say. That's it. That's my presentation. That's my speech. Thank you.
Obrigado, Bernardo, pelo seu discurso. Vamos às perguntas das nossas juradas, começando com a Paula.
Hello, Bernardo. Thank you very much for your speech. You mentioned future generations, right? So, what do you think should be done right now so that future generations become real agents of change in terms of confronting climate crisis?
You know, we as normal people on society, unfortunately, can do much. Like we can do a lot of things, but in the end, it doesn't matter as much as the people on the top of the society, right? So these people don't bother to make a change right now, right? Because they gain money by destroying our world. So I think that those people should change, and the ones who can control it are mainly the government. But sometimes those high people in society are uh, in between the government. You know. So the people who should change right now are the people on the top. But us, normal citizens, also can do our stuff. We're like recycling and not wasting energy and all that stuff. But mainly the people on the top of society. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernardo, for your speech. And yes, the echo chambers created by social media are a problem, not only concerning climate crisis. Do you think there is a possible solution to remedy this, to remedy the echo chambers?
Okay, so the solution I can see for echo chambers online, which was my topic, is to regulate the social medias in our countries, like we tried to do in Brazil lately with Twitter. But sometimes it's hard to do that because normally, usually, these companies are named in other countries. Even countries consider it tax haven, which makes our government harder to reach those countries legally. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigado, Bernardo, pelo discurso. Agradeço às juradas também. E dando sequência às nossas apresentações, vamos ouvir agora o discurso de Ana Beatriz Batista. Ana, está por aí?
Yes, can you hear me?
Sim, estou te ouvindo. O seu vídeo travou um pouquinho.
Everything okay?
Agora estou te ouvindo. O vídeo travou. Agora voltou. Agora estou vendo você. Agora estou ouvindo. Diga alguma coisa, só para a gente
Conseguem me
certificar.
ouvir?
Sim, estou te ouvindo. O seu vídeo travou um pouquinho, mas eu estou conseguindo ouvi-la, tá? Então, Ana, respira, fique à vontade e pode começar o seu discurso quando estiver pronta.
Hi, I'm Anna. The road is dying. That must be something you've heard before. A problem these days is environmental denialism. It happens, for example, when people don't believe in global warming or humans could cause any difference in the road's temperature and its consequences. Environmental negligence is related to it. It happens in places like the Amazonia, which is worrying because it's the road's future for global warming and extremely necessary to regulate the rain in South America. Different species already suffer to adapt after global warming, and according to Jornal USP, with increasing deforestation in 2021, biodiversity has suffered serious damage. The government not taking almost any action against illegal gold digging in the region also caused diverse issues. And according to Greenpeace, at the end of the day, all of this affects especially the most vulnerable people. Global warming is relevant nowadays. It can make droughts tougher, makes glaciers melt, harming the polar life, changing the climate, rising the sea level, among other things. As a consequence, agriculture can suffer productivity changes, affecting the road's economy. Talking about economy, all of those changes will cost trillions until 2050. So it's important for us and the governments to start changing the situation fast. The change can start with the youth. It's important to give a chance and voice for them to help the road. Having an engaged population is a great achievement. Spreading knowledge about the topic in schools, NGOs, and in the media is crucial. The documentary I Am Greta, for example, tells the story of a young activist who has inspired me and given me hope that no matter who you are, you can change the world. And yes, together we can build a new and sustainable world. So, are you ready for the change? That's it. Thank you.
Muito obrigado, Ana, pelo seu discurso. Agora vamos às perguntas das juradas, começando pela Luísa.
Hello, Anna. Thank you so much for your speech. You mentioned how climate crisis can affect biodiversity, right? What do you think are the most dangerous, the worst consequences of the loss of biodiversity in the world?
Well, biodiversity is what make the road be the road for it to have the balance, the natural balance it has. So when we lost like biodiversity, like trees, plants, all of this affects a whole chain of things. It affects the animals and other beings in the whole road that make the road be like supposed to be healthy, be the road we have to live in. And when biodiversity is affected, all of this changes and we don't have the balance anymore.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for your speech. Well, you talked about some future impacts of this climate crisis, right? Which of these impacts worries you the most and why?
What worries me the most is that there are a lot of vulnerable people in the road that don't have economic ways, like they don't have good conditions economically, so they can't like get back to the place they were. Like in Rio Grande do Sul, there was the floods, and the people took lots of time to get together again with their stuff to be okay again. So there are lots of places in the road where people don't have such a power to get together again with their lives, get things going final again. So it's way harder for most of the people in the road to live a life in this new road we are seeing with all of those changes. So it's important for us to actually take a big look for what's happening. Most of the people won't have the condition to live in a good way in the next years.
Thank you, Anna.
Obrigado, Ana. Obrigado às juradas. E dando sequência às nossas apresentações, nossa próxima candidata é a Rafaela de Andrade Torres. Rafaela, está por aí? Está me ouvindo?
Tô aqui.
Sim, estou te ouvindo também, Rafaela. Fique à vontade, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa sorte.
Obrigada. Hey everybody, I'm Rafaela Torres, and today I'm going to talk a little bit more about climate change. The objectives of my speech is showing you how bad climate change is and how can you help reducing it. So, firstly, what is climate change? Basically, when fossil fuels are burnt, greenhouse gases are released to the atmosphere, affecting the ozone layer. This emission is a massive problem because this layer protects the Earth from ultraviolet rays, and if it's degraded, life on our planet would be unstable due to high temperatures, heat waves, droughts, floods, and many uncountable problems. But the worst thing about those is that they're all connected somehow, working just like a chain. One problem leads to another, that leads to another, and when you stop to think, the world is a complete mess. For example, because of heat waves, glaciers melt, rising sea levels, and causing floods in cities nearby, consequently causing death and destruction. It's impossible not to see that the planet has been already suffering from those problems. For example, last year happened a huge flood in Libya, causing thousands of deaths. And also, temperature has been insanely increasing for the past 40 years. So, now that you know a little bit more about climate change, you must be thinking, what can I do to reduce it then? So, there are actually some simple habits that you can introduce to your routine to help the environment, such as simply reducing water waste or recycling. In conclusion, climate change affects everyone and everything, directly or indirectly. It's important to know about it so people raise awareness and start to really help our planet. That's it. I hope my speech could really get to my objectives, and thank you very, very much for hearing me.
Muito obrigado, Rafaela. E agora vamos às perguntas das nossas juradas, começando com a jurada Paula.
Thank you, João. Thank you, Rafaela, for your speech. You talked about some natural disasters such as heat waves, floods, and so on and so forth. How do you imagine our planet in 10 years' time with all those problems?
Well, I guess that if people really don't start helping our planet, maybe no, I'm 100% sure that the planet will be way worse than it is today. So I really think that we should start to really help it from today, really. And I think it'll be a complete disaster.
Thank you, Rafaela.
Hello, Rafaela. Thank you for your speech. You mentioned many simple ways that we can help mitigate the problem of climate crisis. What do you think is a good way to make people aware, to make people understand the importance of these small changes?
Well, I guess everyone should know, since they were like little kids, as I learned, that it's true that if only one person tries to change the world, you won't make a difference. But if you have this idea like really inside your head, you can really influence people around you. And if a really big group of people start to help the planet, I really think we can make a difference.
Thank you so much, Rafaela.
You're welcome.
Obrigado, Rafaela. Obrigado às juradas pelas perguntas. E, dando sequência, o nosso próximo candidato é o Jefferson Albuquerque Espíndola. Jefferson, está por aí?
Sim.
Olá, Jefferson. Boa noite. Estou ouvindo você. Tá? Então, quando estiver pronto, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa sorte.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Jefferson. Just to start, have you ever heard about the movie Wall-E? It tells the story of a robot programmed to collect the world's trash, despite the planet being evacuated due to several climate crises, while he continues to fulfill his programming long after humanity was abandoned Earth. Now, one question. Will the Earth become Wall-E works? In the end of the movie, the world begins to be reforested, offering hope for a new place to exist. Perhaps we are living just a few years before these stories becomes reality. Imagine if no one had cared about the wildfires that ravaged Australia in 2019 and 2020. Over 80 million hectares were burned, which is equivalent to 7% of the UK land area. You might think that's far away from us. But could you imagine that in 2024, some Brazilian cities would record humidity levels below 10% after 150 days without rain? Or that other cities would be submerged for weeks due to excessive rainfall in one area? While this happening, prominent figures are developing technologies to occupy space. Maybe space seems like a better place to live. This might remind you of a movie Wall-E or Interstellar, where the world is ending and humanity escaped to space. But now, I ask, does humanity really want this? Is the best way forward to destroy everything with wars, exhaust all our natural resources just to run away to another planet? As much as this sounds like a move plot, it's happening today. So let's awarenesses among ourselves, our friends, our family, in our school, workplace, in our communities. The world's climate is change. We all feel it. The question is, what will we do about it? Let's start today. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Thank you.
Boa, Jefferson, obrigado pelo discurso. Vamos então às perguntas das nossas juradas, começando pela jurada Luísa.
Good evening, Jefferson. Thank you for your speech. You mentioned Wall-E and Interstellar, two of my personal favorite movies. Do you think movies and arts in general are a good way to bring people more awareness about the climate crisis?
I really love and I believe this because all the kind of arts, painting, movies, theater, and other things can help the people get awarenesses about climate changes and another social issues. So because this, I use this. The Wall-E
Thank you,
movies.
Jefferson.
Hi, Jefferson. Luisa, I was going to ask him a question based on the films. So you stole my
Okay.
question. No problem at all. Well, Jefferson, you mentioned some figures and a lot of information on the topic of climate crisis. Where do you usually get a piece of information from?
Usually, I read some relatories about the climate changes from the some institutions. I'm a part of some institution too who work with this too. So I get some information about this in some relatories or another informations. Some you can get free on the internet too.
Thank you, Jefferson.
Welcome.
Obrigado, Jefferson. Agradeço as juradas. E agora vamos à próxima candidata, que é a Cecília de Abreu. Cecília, está por aí?
Vocês
Oi,
conseguem?
Cecília. Sim, estamos te ouvindo. Então, Cecília, quando estiver pronta, pode começar o seu discurso. Boa sorte.
Obrigada. Climate crisis. Here's a term you've probably encountered countless times in various contexts. But do you fully understand its meaning? The impact this global issue has on the most impoverished populations in the globe, and how it affects our own interactions with the reality around us. In essence, this phrase refers to a rather simple concept: the size of climate change around the world caused by our own actions. Deforestation, industrial activities, and the use of fossil fuel are prime factors to the accumulation of carbon dioxide and other gases in the atmosphere. This is a topic with great room for dialogue, and many specialists agree, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is a growing question. However, in some countries such as the USA, about 15% of the population denies climate crisis, a significant proportion for a developed nation. Based on that data, it is possible to infer that some measures should be taken to increase the public awareness of the issue. For example, promoting debates and engaging moments of reflection in schools. We already experience the effects of climate change in our daily lives, and although it may look like an event that impacts everyone equally, we can see that the most vulnerable segments of our society will always suffer on a larger scale. As examples, we have floods, landslides, and the devastating tragedy of Rio Grande do Sul. That, along with the negligence from the government, can have catastrophic consequences for people's lives. Among other things, we must demand governments and private companies to reaffirm their commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The Conference of the Parties, better known as COP, is vital in enabling governments' discussions on climate change strategies. The COP has already achieved an agreement to phase out fossil fuel production and transition to renewable energy sources. As you can see, we build our future every day, and every small action counts. So we will keep waiting for a miraculous solution, deny the reality of climate crisis, or assume responsibility and take care of our home planet and nature. Thank you.
Parabéns pelo discurso, Cecília. E agora vamos às perguntas das nossas juradas, começando pela jurada Paula Botelho.
Hello, Cecilia. Thank you for your speech. So based on what you presented here, my question is, do you think that governments, they have a different share in terms of responsibility regarding this issue of climate crisis, depending on the country where they are from and why? If so, why?
Yes, I do believe that there are many factors that affect the importance of governments and leaders and politicians in climate crisis. So when you think about, for example, the most impoverished countries in the world, maybe places that don't have enough resources or infrastructure for dealing with the climate crisis and all the weather phenomena or the weather changes all around the world, those governments sometimes they have to take more incisive actions to set more ambitious goals. So maybe they have a bit more of responsibility. They really have to think about the issue. And also, if you think about some countries that participated of the Industrial Revolution back then, so for example, England, those countries, to a certain extent, they caused the climate crisis if you think about it in different ways because of the use of fossil fuel and many different factors. So they also have a huge responsibility in the issue, also all humanity has. So we must find different solutions to try to halt the progress of the crisis, really.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you.
Hello, Cecilia. Thank you for your speech. You bring a very important point, which is our leaders need to take responsibility, but we also have a role in putting some pressure on them, right? And making our demands heard. What do you think are good ways to communicate our demands to our leaders regarding climate crisis?
Okay, so I think this is a very interesting question, actually, because we have to talk. We have to show our opinions. I think the media, if we think about it, many communication vehicles all around the world, those are good places to do that. So if we post there every day, if we talk in debates and engagement in schools and universities, for example, we have to talk and show our opinions. So we must demand for them to take more incisive action, set ambitious goals to find solutions for us to deal in a better way with climate crisis. So we have responsibility to do that, not just simple actions to a daily basis, but also to have a point of view about the issue and to express that to all governments and people around the world.
Thank you so much, Cecilia.
Thank you.
Obrigado, Cecília. Obrigado às juradas. E agora temos o nosso último candidato da noite. Gostaria de chamar ao palco do Your Voice, Nicolas Nazário Ferreira. Nicolas está por aí? Bom, o Nicolas não entrou aqui para a nossa plataforma, então vamos dar sequência ao nosso evento aqui. Bom, então finalizamos todas as apresentações aqui da categoria 6. Gostaria de parabenizar a todos os participantes, né? Competição de altíssimo nível hoje aqui. Os jurados vão ter um trabalhão agora, né? E aproveito esse momento para liberá-las também para deliberação e para definir agora quem que vai para a grande final do dia 23 de novembro. Bom, enquanto elas vão deliberando para a gente vir com os resultados, eu vou repassar com vocês alguns detalhes importantes sobre a nossa competição, né? Então, como eu disse lá no começo do nosso evento, hoje serão anunciados 3 participantes por categoria que seguirão para a grande final, que será realizada no sábado, dia 23 de novembro. Esses 3 participantes se juntarão a outros 3 participantes selecionados na outra semifinal e somarão 6 participantes por categoria na grande final. Ao término da sessão, teremos aquela oportunidade de uma devolutiva aos participantes que forem selecionados para a grande final. Então, quem quiser receber essa devolutiva precisa ficar aqui com a gente até o anúncio dos resultados, ok? Quem não quiser receber a devolutiva, não tem problema. mas ela será ofertada somente hoje, aqui ao término da sessão. Então, iremos considerar que quem não ficar aqui optou por não recebê-la. Todas as fases do concurso são online e você poderá sempre acompanhar por aqui, da mesma forma que está acontecendo hoje na transmissão via YouTube. Todas as candidatas e candidatos que participaram do evento receberão certificado de participação. Os certificados serão enviados por e-mail para vocês, no mesmo e-mail pelo qual nos comunicamos desde então. Então, todos os envios serão feitos por lá. Às vezes acontece dos nossos e-mails irem para a caixa de spam ou algum erro ali no momento do envio. Então, caso você, participante, não receba o seu certificado até o dia 10 de novembro, avise a sua unidade para que eles possam entrar em contato com a gente providenciar o envio desses certificados, ok? Também vocês podem mandar por e-mail, através do e-mail disponível no site do Your Voice para suporte, certo? E eu aproveito também para lembrar dos super prêmios que temos nessa edição, né, na grande final. Então, além de toda a bagagem cultural e linguística que os nossos alunos adquiriram ao longo do evento, no dia 23/11 serão definidos os primeiros e segundos colocados de cada categoria. E o primeiro lugar ganhará um vale-presente de R$ 1.000 e o segundo colocado levará um vale-presente de R$ 500. Muito bom, né? Terminar o final de ano com dinheiro no bolso assim não tem coisa melhor. E, bom, enquanto as nossas juradas terminam a deliberação, vamos aproveitar esse momento para fazer uma pausa, tomar uma água, esticar as pernas, né? Vocês não precisam nem sair aí do YouTube, já pode deixar a transmissão rolando, deixar tudo ligado aí, e a gente volta daqui por volta de 10, 15 minutos, com o resultado final das duas categorias, ok? Então, voltamos daqui a pouco, até mais com os resultados. Estamos de volta com o quê? Com o momento mais aguardado da noite, o resultado final. Agora nós conheceremos quem serão os 3 candidatos da categoria 5 e os 3 da 6 que irão para a grande final do dia 23 de novembro. Mas antes da gente trazer o resultado, eu queria parabenizar a todos pela participação. Né? Não é fácil falar em público, se comunicar, ainda mais em inglês, na frente de muita gente. Então, gostaria de parabenizar a todos por terem chegado até aqui. Vocês já são grandes vencedores por estarem aqui nessa etapa. E agora, para anunciar o resultado final, gostaria de chamar ela, a jurada, Luísa. Luísa, por favor, venha. Venha com a notícia, Luísa, mais aguardada da noite.
Brincadeira, não vou me alongar, porque eu sei que esse é um momento de nervosismo. Eu vou anunciar as pessoas da categoria 5 que passaram para a próxima fase, e depois a minha colega Paula vai anunciar as pessoas da categoria 6 que passaram para a próxima fase. Mas, em primeiro lugar, eu gostaria de parabenizar e agradecer a participação de vocês, a coragem, o desempenho, a disposição de estar aqui, porque não é fácil. Eu sou professora de inglês e eu não acho que vocês fizeram hoje fácil. O nosso trabalho, meu e da Paula, foi muito, muito difícil. Então, eu queria que, independente do resultado que vocês ouvirem agora, vocês tirassem um momento para se parabenizar e agradecer as pessoas que apoiaram vocês nesse momento. Seus familiares, seus professores, seus colegas, porque o que vocês todos fizeram hoje foi muito, muito especial. Bom, vou anunciar, então, os candidatos que passaram para a próxima fase da categoria 5. Vou seguir a ordem das apresentações, ok? Não é a ordem de pontuação. Então, Ana Luísa, Natália e Vinícius. Parabéns, vocês passaram para a próxima fase. E todos os outros participantes, muito, muito obrigada e parabéns pelo que vocês fizeram hoje. Passo então a palavra para a Paula, que vai falar quem é que vai passar para na categoria 6.
Obrigada, Luísa. Vou ser repetitiva, né, porque as pessoas já falaram isso, mas de verdade, gente, não é fácil fazer, eu sou professora de inglês, olha, não é fácil fazer um discurso em inglês, né, na frente de um monte de gente, né, para um público aqui, a pessoa nem sabe quantas pessoas estão aqui assistindo, então não é fácil, ainda mais sendo um concurso, né, então, de verdade, ter chegado até aqui é para poucos, independentemente do resultado, e a gente fala isso de verdade. Então, agradeço, né, em nome da cultura inglesa, a todos os alunos, todas as alunas que se inscreveram, que toparam participar desse concurso, do qual nós temos muito orgulho, aos familiares, aos amigos, né, então, todo mundo aqui presente. E aí também, sem mais delongas, porque eu sei que todo mundo quer ouvir o resultado, eu vou anunciar o nome, né, dos 3 candidatos ou 3 candidatas que passam para a próxima fase. Eu não vou falar na ordem de apresentação, porque aí as pessoas já vão saber quem é quem. Ah, não falou meu nome, eu fui antes, não fui eu, para causar um pouquinho mais de suspense. E também não tem nada a ver com a pontuação, tá? Vou falar aqui aleatoriamente. Então, aqui na categoria 6, quem passa para a próxima fase? Rafaela, de Andrade Torres. Parabéns, Rafaela. Quem mais passa? Mariana Soares Gama. Parabéns, Mariana. E Cecília Rosa de Abreu. Parabéns, Cecília. Então, agora eu passo a palavra de volta, parabenizo a todos e todas, e passo a palavra de volta para o João. É com você, João.
Muito obrigado, meninas. Parabéns a todos os candidatos pela participação, parabéns aos que vão para a grande final do dia 23. Né? Gostaria de agradecer também a audiência de vocês, todos os familiares, amigos, a torcida que estava bombando aí no chat também, Mogi, arrasando. Um beijo para Mogi. Então, muito obrigado, pessoal, pela audiência de todos. E agora eu gostaria de só passar um recadinho importante, que os candidatos finalistas da categoria 5 e 6 que foram anunciados aqui e que quiserem receber o feedback, deverão acessar agora aquele link da sala do Google Meet, onde vocês entraram no começo e fizemos o sorteio. tá? Para receber o feedback. Semana que vem tem mais semifinal, então de segunda a quinta, às 19 horas, os links de acesso já estão lá no site do Your Voice, que é yourvoice.culturainglesa.com.br. Então, um grande abraço a todos, nos vemos na semana que vem e até mais. Valeu!